Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. Now, I really enjoy eyeshadow singles, duochromes, multi-chromes, blush, highlight, lip gloss, basically everything except for glitter, and today we're going to be doing two looks with the Blend Bunny Sugar and Grunge palette. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me, we're getting into it right now. So first things first, this is what the actual color story looks like, and obviously you can see my palette has been swatched and manipulated a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and insert some swatches in, and if you can see from the swatches, I went ahead and swatched the metallics in the same column that they are in the palette, so not with necessarily their coordinating color of mattes, because I've seen a lot of people doing that, but I think, you know, she put them in here like this for a reason, so I kind of wanted to swatch them together and see what that looked like. Overall, the mattes all feel really nice and buttery smooth, which is typical for Blend Bunny, and the metallics, of course, are really nice, soft, easy to spread out on the lid, and I think they give like a nice luminosity, a nice sparkle. So we're going to go ahead and get into this look, which is going to be look number one. So I have you zoomed in here, and we're going to be doing another look with the Blend Bunny Sugar and Grunge palette. Now, I think for this look, I want to prioritize these greens because they are so pretty. I just used the ColourPop Party Proof eyeshadow primer, and then I'm going to go in and start with these green eyeshadows. So I'm going to start with 1995, which is the mid-toned green, and then I'm going to blend out a little bit with this Ironic shade. Kind of like that. And then I'm gonna blend out with Ironic, which is the really light toned green, just on like a fluffy brush here. Kind of like that. So you can see that the light green, definitely you can pick it up, but it's really subtle compared to that deeper green. All right, and then let's go into GarageBand, which is the deepest green. From the pictures, it may look like there's a black in this palette, but it's actually like a really dark charcoal gray, not black. And that's the shade called Combat Boots, which when I saw this palette, I was like, this is hysterical, because when I was, let's see, was that middle school? Either 8th or 9th grade, winter formal, I had this like Wizard of Oz, Glenda the Good Witch of the North, hot bubblegum pink looking ball gown, right? Cinched in waist, super poofy skirts. And it was just a little bit too tall or too long for me. Going back in with 1995, the mid-tone green, and when I went to go put it on, I was like, oh my god. And I did not have time to go like get it hemmed or adjusted or anything. So my mom was like, well, what kind of like taller shoes do you have? And I had Combat Boots. So I went to winter formal in this beautiful like bubblegum pink princess dress, beads and sparkles and sequins and stuff all over it, and Combat Boots underneath. So that shade really like cemented in me like, I'm gonna need to get this palette. Okay, and that's looking pretty cute. Now the question is, do I want to do a different inner third here? I think so. What do I want to use? I think I'm going to use some of the blues on the inner third. So this is the shade Candy, which is the lightest blue in the palette. That's kind of pretty. And then I'm going to go in with Baggy Jeans, which is the mid-tone blue. And just putting a little bit here to kind of create a bridge of depth. And so you can see as it goes into my eyelid, like the mobile lid, there's definitely some depth there, but on the innermost corner, it's still that really, really bright light blue, which I like. Okay. So I think in general that's looking pretty good. Let's put some shimmers on this. Glitter primer from Pastel Roses UK. One of my favorite UK indie brands. See, I feel like both of these are really pretty, but this one just looks so much more complimentary. Do I want to fade that into Butterfly? Now the funny part is that, like, I don't know if that's named for that Crazy Town Butterfly song, or if that is because there was like butterfly clips and butterflies on our notebooks, butterflies on everything back in the day. And then this is the grungy shade, which is that like metallic-y black. Which looks like that. And then I'm just going to go fortify the front shade Bubblegum a little bit more. Alright, and then I need to do a lower lash line, which I think I'm going to do the smoky grays on my lower lash line. I think that will look really pretty because it'll be like color, black and white. Back when not everybody was running around with just a whole computer in their pocket. This is mixtape. It's so funny now, like, computers can just do like legitimately everything, so it's hard to like test students if they have access to a computer, because literally the computer can do everything for you. And then I'm going into combat boots. And when we would take math tests back in school, like, we were required to have a TI 83 Plus. I had a TI 83 Plus Silver Edition. Woo! It was basically the same calculator, but instead of coming in a black case, it had this like semi-opaque, clear, frosty case with silver glitter in it. I think everybody should have known that I was gonna end up being like a super makeup hoarder, but yeah, somewhere around I still have that calculator. I never got rid of it. But we used to before exams, we used to have to literally sit there, pull the battery out, and then hold the two pieces up for like 5 minutes before the test started, because we had to clear out the like memory banks, otherwise you could save equations and stuff in these calculators. Like, man, if somebody is going through that much effort to cheat, just let them. Like, at that point, just let them. Anyway, I'm gonna go back into candy, just a little bit more candy, and like really brighten up that inner corner, because I want that to be like super vibrant. Yeah, nowadays I don't even think you could like clear everything out if you tried, so that's kind of a lost to history phase. Alright, let's get on some liner and mascara, and then I will be right back. This is the finished look. What do you guys think? I really like this look. I'm gonna go ahead and insert a second look here, and this one I'm gonna kind of speed up and just have you guys watch the tutorial component, and then I'm gonna kind of talk through what I'm doing while I show you that. The first time I'm doing audio like this, so hopefully it doesn't come out too crazy. But first I'm going in with the Juvia's Place I Prep I Prime primer in the shade 1, which I believe is their lightest shade. I then start by going into the shade Candy, which is the lightest blue shade that we have in the palette. I'm just blending everything out, and unfortunately I'm telling a story here, but I just get way too wordy in the audio and I'm not moving fast enough in the video, so I decided to spare you guys that story. The second shade that I'm going into here is Baggy Jeans, which is the mid-toned blue. I do like how these two blend so well together. I think it looks really, really nice here, and of course now I've zoomed in so that you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm just continuing to blend these two shades together while telling the longest, most wordy, roundabout way of telling this story. The next thing that I'm doing is going in with Payphone, which is the lightest gray tone shade in the inner corner, and then blending that into Mixtape, which is the mid-tone gray shade, trying to keep that mostly on the mobile lid and not extending too much into the inner crease. Then I'm taking a little bit of Combat Boots, which is the deepest gray, and really trying to keep that as deep and as low as possible, because I'm going to cover that with other shades here shortly. But I do like how the blue and the gray look together. Just going back to blend everything out, and then I'm taking more of Combat Boots and putting that in the outer corner. Again, this looks like a black in the pan, but it's actually just a really deep charcoal gray, which I think was very complementary to the rest of the palette. Then I'm just going back and blending everything together, and then adding some of the ColourPop, the matte concealer that they have in the shade 00. I like to use that when I'm cutting out a crease so that I can get a really bright white base to work off of. Typically 2 layers gives me a much whiter base to work from, although it does feel a little bit clumpy on the lid. So if you are not used to having like liquid shadows sitting on your lid, you may find that it's a little uncomfortable to use 2 layers of that white. You can see the difference there between 1 layer and 2 layers. It definitely looks a lot more impactful with the second layer. And when I dip my lid down, that's really helping me to kind of mark out where this is going to end up meeting my lid when I'm blinking, so that I don't get transfer. This first shade that I'm going into now is Skater Girl. This is the lightest kind of red tone shade in that first column of the palette. And then I'm going to be blending that out with Flannel, which is the mid-tone, and Drew, which is the deepest. And then I lost a little bit of footage, but that was going out into the deepest shade. And then I think I add a little bit of Moody here, which is the deepest purple shade as well. And I'm yammering on about my story for a little while, and then I go back to blending everything. I really like the way these shades kind of ombre together, and I think it's a testament to the Blend Buddy mattes at how well you can get these shades to blend together when you aren't kind of covering things up with a shimmer, because shimmers are much easier to formulate than good quality mattes that blend so nicely together, especially once they're being tacked onto, you know, a tacky base that's already 2 layers deep. On this lower lash line, I'm putting Combat Boots and then blending that into Detention, which is the mid-toned purple. And then in the innermost corner, I'm going to go add some of Baby Tea, which is that very, very light purple in the palette.
just blending everything out with a little bit more combat boots, trying to get everything nice and even. And then here I've used the NYX mixing medium to try to blend bubblegum into kind of a liquid eyeshadow to create a more intense line for my look. This was a little bit challenging to do, and I'm not sure I would recommend it. I was trying to avoid actually like digging some of the eyeshadow out, so I was pulling just a little bit at a time, and I think it just wasn't very impactful. Like I wanted it to be brighter, so I popped a little bit more of that shade Dry into the inner corners just to create a little bit extra impact and intensity there. Then I topped with mascara and lashes, and that is it for this look.
Okay, and alright, so now you guys have seen look number 1 and look number 2. Tell me in the comments below, which look do you guys like better? And do you like the format of kind of seeing everything sped up and me talking over it, or do you prefer kind of the traditional sit and talk while I do my makeup at normal speed? I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and I'm going to catch you in my next video. Bye!